Hello students, welcome to the business law session for the B.B.A 5th semester. So in our previous classes we had mainly studied about the different aspects about the contract, and we had also seen the first essential, that is the proposal, and about that we had already discussed. So now in this session we are going to discuss about the second most important for the formation of the contract, that is acceptance. Acceptance, here as you know that the contract will be having two parties, and one will make the proposal and another one has to accept it, then the contract is established. So the other here offer we have studied, now we will move to the acceptance. So this we are going to discuss today. It is a 5 marks question from your examination point of view. So you have to make it a point here. It is a 5 marks question. The question will be, mention the essentials of the valid acceptance. What are the essentials of the valid acceptance? Here acceptance you have to mention. That is the question you will be having for 5 marks. And one decided case also I will be discussing here. So where it will be discussed, here I will just mention when I go with the essentials. So students, we will start with here the definition of the acceptance. How the word acceptance is defined in the Indian Contract Act. Section 2, clause B. Section 2, clause B mentions about here the definition. So if you look at the definition, you may feel it is here lengthy definition, but if you understand the meaning, it's very easy. So what does the definition read? When the person to whom the offer is made signifies his assent thereto, the offer is said to be accepted. So this is the simple meaning what you can give of the acceptance is where an offer has been made to a person, a proposal has been made to a person here from another person. For example, A has made a proposal to sell his car to B. So already there is a proposal, and now here if B wants it to here purchase it, he has to give his willingness. That is what signifies his assent to the offer. Offer is made by A, that is he is ready to sell the car whatever price he has quoted there. And if B is mainly willing to purchase the car, he has to give his consent to signify his assent thereto, that is to the offer. So then we say the offer is said to be accepted. So that is first there must be offer, then there must be acceptance. So acceptance cannot here be first. First here the offer must come, then here the acceptance. So once the acceptance is given, then here the agreement is established, the promise is established, the contract here comes into force. So that is what here we see. This is here the offer and the acceptance. The acceptance here is nothing but here the willingness of the another person to the offer. To whom the offer is made, his willingness is expressed here mainly to that offer. That is what you mean by the acceptance. So sometimes you may have this mainly the definition part, what is acceptance for 2 marks. So they may ask you in your examination for 2 marks, what you mean by the term acceptance. So just you have to mention this example here what we have discussed. Any examples you can give and the meaning what you have understood based on this definition. Section 2 clause B gives the definition of the acceptance. And the person who here accepts, he is called as an acceptor or offeree, proposee. So these are the words used for him. The party that who accepts here or signifies to the offer, he is called as the acceptor, or he is known as the proposee, offeree, promisee. So promise or promisee, very common word. Offerer, acceptor. Here proposer, proposee. Offerer, offeree. So like this, here The person who gives the acceptance is called as the acceptor. So this is here the meaning what we have of the acceptance now. Now further, the law has laid down certain essentials. There are here mainly certain 10 essentials we are going to study for a valid acceptance. As you have studied for offer, there are certain valid rules for the offer. So also there are certain valid rules, or we call them as essentials of valid acceptance. The essentials of the valid acceptance. So here we have discussed 7 here essentials. 8th, 9th and 10th is this side. So we will have one by one, we will go on explaining this aspect. So remember, it is a 5 marks question. What are the essentials of the valid acceptance? So we move with the first here, the essentials of the valid acceptance. So when we have understood the meaning of acceptance, we have already know what is meant by acceptance. So now we are going to move with here the essentials. Acceptance may be expressed or implied. This is the first one. So expressed here mainly, acceptance means the acceptance which is given in writing or here by the words spoken, orally, verbally. So either it may be in a written form or it may be in an oral form. That we call it as the express here acceptance. So where, now for example, A, as I told you, has made an here proposal to sell his car to B. B writes a letter to him here that he is ready to here purchase the car. So what is this is in the form of writing. Or B here gives his assent over a telephonic message. Verbally it is. So it is verbally transmitted, the acceptance. So it may be expressed, means verbally or in a written form. Or implied. Implied means understood from the here the circumstances, the conduct of the parties. The conduct of the parties here what we say. The conduct of the parties here mainly here implies that there is an acceptance. Acceptance has been there. So that is what you mean. For example, when you get into a KSRTC bus, KSRTC bus has offered here a service here of a transit from one destination to another destination for a fixed price. So there is a price for that transit. So when you have entered the KSRTC here bus for here moving from one destination to another destination, it is by your conduct you have agreed to pay the price of the transit. So what will be the price of the transit? You are going to here pay it. So that is here the implied. It is understood when you are, it is not that the KSRTC is running here a free offer here mainly the buses. It's not free. There is a charge for that. So that is here mainly here you have accepted it impliedly by your conduct entering into a bus. This is here what we call it as implied here acceptance. That is what here from your conduct. The person through his conduct he has made here the mainly the other party understood that he has accepted. So entering into that mainly the KSRTC bus for going to one destination to another destination, you have accepted whatever price is there, ticket price is there, you are going to pay for that. That is called as implied acceptance. Implied acceptance. So this is one example I give you. So previously we had discussed one mainly the coolie here and the passenger mainly the case where coolie has mainly picked up the luggage and started moving. He has offered his services and the passenger has followed him blindly there. So what the passenger, he has mainly impliedly by his conduct accepted the service of that here the coolie who has offered that service. And naturally when he has accepted the service, he has to pay for the coolie there. So it is understood. So here the passenger cannot take the contention, I have not said to carry it. So this is here implied by your conduct you have shown that you have accepted the offer. So the acceptance may be expressed or implied. This is the first one. Second, acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. What does this mean? So as you know that here when the offer is made, the acceptor, or when the offer is made to the offeree, so when he receives the offer, here the person must accept the offer in whole, absolute. He cannot accept it in part. He has to accept it in whole. And if there are any conditions, he has to here accept those conditions also. Unqualified. He cannot here say that I am not ready to accept the conditions. I am accepting only a part of it. No. It should be absolute and unqualified there. So that is what here mainly the acceptance rule is there. So you cannot here impose any here mainly the conditions, or you cannot modify the offer there. You cannot change it, because if you are modifying it, it becomes counter offer. So whatever offer has come, if you want to establish a contract with that person, here whatever offer is made by him, you should accept it in whole. That is called as absolute and unqualified, unconditional. So that is the second requirement what you have to do is. The third one is, here is the communication of the acceptance. So it is, as we had seen, offer must be communicated. So the offer must be communicated, we know that. Communication has taken place. And now, here acceptance must also be communicated. So the person who has made the offer must come to know whether that you are ready to here mainly accept it or not. So how can he know it? That is here mainly the communication. The communication must be there. So communication of the acceptance. So this is what is required. So the person to whom the acceptance here mainly the offer is made, here how can he give his assent? By the mainly communication. So he has to communicate his decision. The decision here has to be communicated. Whether he wants it or not, that is it is left to him, and whatever is his decision, he has to communicate. So communication is must. So the person to whom the offer is made, if that person here wants that mainly the act to be done, or he wants here mainly the offer to be accepted, here after deciding that he has accepted it, he should communicate it to the offerer, the person who has made the proposal. So the acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. This is here mainly required. So this is what we have, the third important essential. Fourthly, what the law says, mental acceptance is no acceptance. Now this is very interesting. Here the person has received the offer, and when he sees the offer, he has decided in his mind that he has accepted. But he never communicates to the offerer. His decision is not communicated. He has mentally accepted it, but he has not communicated. For example, here A has mainly given his mainly the proposal for the mainly the selling of his car for 5 lakhs. B receives it and B sees it, and he decides to purchase it for 5 lakhs. He writes a letter and keeps the letter in the drawer. He also mainly writes the address and everything of it and keeps it in the drawer to post it the next day, and he forgets it. Here A does not receive any communication from B. So later A sells the car to C. B says that I have accepted it, and how you have sold it to C. A says that I have not received any communication, but mentally I have accepted that to purchase it. I have also written, this is the proof here that I have written the letter. But you have written the letter, but it is not brought to the notice of the offerer. So that is very essential. Mentally you might have been here determined to purchase it, but that decision must be communicated to the offerer. So communication is most important, and mental acceptance, if you have decided it here mentally, here that is not an acceptance. That mental acceptance, what decision you have taken, should be communicated back to the offerer. Then only it is a complete acceptance. So mental acceptance, what they say, is no acceptance. This is what we have. One more essential. The acceptance must be in a prescribed mode if it is mentioned in the offer. So offer can mention any mode that how the acceptance should be given. If it is mentioned, the prescribed mode is mentioned, then here the offering must give his assent in the same prescribed mode to the offerer. So offerer has made a mode. In this way I should get the acceptance. So in the same way, that is prescribed mode, he has to here answer, give his consent. So usually what we find is the here prescribed mode is, if it is prescribed in the offer, the acceptor must use the same mode. So this is here. Otherwise we are seeing that here the offer lapses. The offerer may reject this acceptance if it is not followed in the prescribed mode. If the mode is not prescribed in the usual mode, what is the usual mode? You can come to the conclusion is that in what way the offer has come, in the same way you have to answer back. So this is the usual mode. So if prescribed mode is only mentioned in the offer, you have to follow that prescribed mode. Otherwise the usual mode in which the offer has come in return, the same way here the acceptance can be given. This is the one more essential what we have got. The acceptance must be in a specified time. If it is mentioned in the offer, within the expiry of that specified time, you have to give the acceptance. Suppose the offer has come and it is mentioned in the offer, reply within 15 days. So what is the deadline for the acceptance is 15 days. So within that you have to give the acceptance. Then only it is valid. Here, if you are giving late, then here there is no value. Here the offerer has the right to rescind the acceptance, or he can mainly say that the offer is revoked because the specified period has expired. If no prescribed time or specified time is given in the offer, then here what we can say, the reasonable time you have to accept it. So there should be a reasonable time, it should not get more delayed. So hardly it may be 15 days, 30 days or 45 days. So maximum here within 2 months, 60 days you have to accept it. But prolonging more here, that vitiates mainly the offer. So offer lapses there if it goes on here prolonging. So but also you have to see what is the offer made. Suppose think specified time is not given, the word is there, here reply immediately. So it should understood that it should be immediately, within 7 days, 10 days we have to give the reply. So that is what the law requires, reasonable time. So even based on the words in the offer, the time can be here decided. So otherwise 15 days directly it may be written. If it is not written, here a reasonable time should be taken and the acceptance should be given. So this is specified time. If it is specified within the expiry of that period, acceptance should come. So before accepting the offer, the person must have the knowledge of the offer. So without the knowledge of the offer, he cannot accept it. Without the knowledge of the offer, he cannot accept this. So this is a very famous decided case we have got here. Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt case. Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt case. This is a very famous case we have got. So and this can be asked in your section D. Section D, the question may appear for your examination for the caselet. Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt. What was the mainly here the case? So the mainly Gauri Dutt here, he mainly asked his servant. He asked his servant here to go in search of his lost nephew. He had lost his nephew, the missing nephew, and he asked his servant Lalman to go to the here in search of him. After the servant went, Lalman went, here Gauri Datta announced a reward for any person who brings his nephew back. And later Lalman finds the nephew and he brings him back here and hands him to the Gauri Datta. But at that time, here Lalman is not aware about the offer, about the reward. So later Lalman comes to know about the reward and he mainly claims from Gauri Datta that here reward. So he brings a case against Gauri Datta for the reward, but the court held that as he was not aware of the offer at the time of performing, here there is no contractual obligation between Lalman and Gauri Datta. So as the offer, he must know about the offer and do the act of acceptance. So knowledge of offer is very important. So Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Datta case is one of the important cases related to this, mainly the essential. This is the seventh essential. The last three you have got is eighth essential. Before offer lapses or it is revoked by the offerer, the acceptance must be there. So you have seen in your previous session how the offer lapses, which are the different modes the offer lapses. So before the lapse of the offer, the acceptance must reach the offerer, or before that here he revokes it, your acceptance must be there. So that is why before offer lapses or it is revoked by the offerer, here the acceptance must come there. That is the eighth one. Ninth one is here the acceptance must be given by the person to whom it is made. So this is the case usually in a specific offer. In a specific offer to a specific person, that offer is made. For example, X has made an offer to Y. So specifically only Y has the right to accept it, no other person. Or any other authorized person or the agent of Y can accept it. No other person can accept it. Here Z cannot accept it. Here that is, here third person cannot accept it. Only Y has the right here to accept it, or his authorized agent has the right to accept here the offer there. So it is person to whom. It is only in the case of a specific offer. It is not in a case of general offer. In a general offer, any person can here accept it, because general offer is open to the public. Any person can accept it. But if it is a specific offer that is made, he has to accept here alone. No other person can be here accept that offer. So this is what is acceptance must be given by the person to whom it is made or his authorized agent. This is here one more essential. And the last one here, counter offer is not an acceptance. So counter offer we have studied. Counter offer means here where the acceptor modifies the original offer and makes a new offer. So in this way, the new offer made by the acceptor is not an acceptance. So because it becomes a counter offer will not lead to the contractual obligation. So as the example I had mainly remember, if you remember, X had mainly made the offer to sell his bicycle for 1,000 rupees to Y. Y in return says that he is ready to accept the bicycle, he is ready to purchase it for 800 rupees. So he has modified the original offer. So this becomes a counter offer. In this case, in a counter offer, here the contractual obligation is not established. Counter offer does not make here it as an acceptance. So these are the essentials of a valid acceptance. When these rules are mainly present in the acceptance, when these essentials are present in the acceptance, then you can use this word that it is a valid acceptance and a contractual obligation is well established. The proposal is said to be accepted and the contract is established between the parties. So this is the second here, the important essential of a contract. First one is proposal, second one is acceptance. So keeping this in your mind, the next class we are going to discuss about the third important essential, that is competency of the parties or capacity of the parties. This will be our next session. we will continue that aspect. Thank you.